Hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm Charlotte. Today I wanted to share with you what I've just last finished reading and what I'm currently reading for the next month of February and all the new books I just checked out at the library. By the way, also, if you want to know how I got this very bold, out there look, I will link the video down below. But this is part of a new series that I'm starting on my channel called Play With Me, which is exactly what it sounds like, which is stepping outside of my comfort zone and playing with different looks and colors. And this time I just wanted to play with purples and greens in my collection, and it was fun. It was really fun to do, on camera, and I hope that you subscribe to my channel. So let's get right into this. So most recently I finished Dope Sick, which traces the birth of heroin and morphine use in the US, which really kind of took off in the late 20th century. 19th century. I had to do that math there. 19th century, 20th century. Anyway, I do recommend the book. I found it very informative. The writing was a little choppy at times, but because of the information and the subject matter, I found it very interesting, very compelling, and it really helped me understand what the opioid crisis is like in the US and in Canada actually too. You know, this is more focused on the US in the Appalachian region and Midwest. And what I found really interesting was how differently, and also appalling, is how differently addiction is viewed in the States. It really is seen as a criminal issue rather than a public health issue. And addicts are seen as just lacking willpower, and that's a really harmful position to take, in my opinion, and in many people's opinion, and in the author's opinion as well. And it's really hard for these addicts to get any sort of treatment, which usually in Canada we call that harm reduction. Things like needle exchange programs and methadone and Suboxone, like those things are viewed as positive parts of either recovery or harm reduction. So those things are starting to gain traction in the US, but they're not there yet, and it has massive repercussions on people's lives, entire families, entire towns and cities, and it's absolutely tragic. The next book that I last read, and that was Ta-Nehisi Coates' Between the World and Me, and this was a 5-star book for me as well. I mean, the other one was a 4-star. This was a 5-star book for me. Ta-Nehisi's writing is superb. I picked this book up for the subject matter, which is about racism and life as a black man in America, but his writing is amazing. And so it's an absolute 5-star must-read book. I highly recommend it to anyone who thinks they aren't racist, who believes that they don't have any racist beliefs or thoughts, or that they think that racism is just being a bigot or lynching in the past and slavery from the past. Racism is a systemic issue, and it is, by that very nature, we all hold and harbor and propagate racism in our society, and the only way that we can dismantle it, the only way to deal with it, is first of all to be aware of that. So the innocent white person syndrome, I'll call it, is really harmful to people of color, and so that's why I'm trying my best to do my own work. And I encourage anyone who either doesn't understand why there's movements like Black Lives Matter, or doesn't understand the anger that black people have, or that thinks things like, oh, you know, slavery was in the past and everyone has equal opportunities right now. And even for people who just think that yes, okay, racism exists, but I'm not racist, I encourage you to read Ta-Nehisi Coates' book. I encourage you to read also, there's a few, wait. Okay, I think I'm just gonna link them down below, write them, because there's a few other books that I would recommend that you read, as well as a few that I haven't personally read myself yet, but that are on my reading list. So yeah, that's fantastic book, and I recently went to the library and one of the books I took out was Ta-Nehisi Coates' We Were 8 Years in Power, An American Tragedy, which is a collection of essays that he wrote. I'm really excited to read this. I took out They Can't Kill Us All by Wesley Lowery, Ferguson, Baltimore, and a New Era in America's Racial Justice Movement. This one right here. I took out, oh, I'm also still reading The Human Predicament, and because I find it kind of tedious and slightly uninspiring to read, I'm reading it in small doses, and I'm getting through it though, you know, like I'm almost halfway through, so I'll get through it. I want to finish reading it. I took out also the French version of the French translation of Between the World and Me, Ta-Nehisi Coates, which I just finished. The French translation in Colère Noire for my boyfriend to read, and I found it. Anyway, it's kind of funny because it's not a, I don't know why they didn't do a literal translation. Like in Colère Noire is like a black anger, but more closely resembles like black wrath, I guess. I took out 3 memoirs too. I took out And Now We Have Everything on Motherhood Before I Was Ready. I know nothing about it. I just read a little bit of the synopsis and it looked really interesting. I have Blackout, Remembering the Things I Drank to Forget. I think you can gather what it's about. And lastly, but certainly not least, I finally took out Carolyn Knapp's Drinking, A Love Story, which I've been wanting to read for many years. I love Carolyn Knapp's writing and her story, and I read her book called Appetites, which was a book about eating disorders, but actually more just about addiction and appetites of all kinds. And it was part memoir, part historical analysis, and it's a must-read book, I find too. It's one of my favorites. I've read it numerous times, so I recommend that highly. Appetites by Carolyn Knapp. Actually that was one of her last books. She died a couple years later of cancer. She was just in her early 40s. It's really tragic. But I look forward to reading her other memoir, which is actually the one that I think got the most recognition. So those are the books I'm reading right now. I'm really excited to read them. I'm excited to share with you guys. I really hope that you will follow me along. I hope that you'll subscribe to my channel. Please let me know what you're reading. Please let me know what books have impacted you recently, what books you really want to read. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, bye.